This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host Keith Angle on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talk Sunday. Stream of consciousness. How is everybody today? Week number 1 of the NFL, which we'll get to, but we got a lot of other stuff to talk about as well. So we'll try to spend, 30 minutes on everything. College football with some big upsets yesterday, almost a colossal upset. We'll talk a little bit about the top 25 scores and a little bit of comment there. We'll go more in depth on Wednesday's college football huddle, of course. We'll get into Major League Baseball and the races there. And the NFL, week 1, the Bills already off to a great start, and we'll go through all the games today. And before we get started, guys, I just want to say, this is kind of a solemn day, as it is the anniversary of the 9/11 attack. So please, while we're enjoying this football Sunday, let's remember all the victims and their families, and don't forget the first responders. There's people that were in there trying to save lives that are still suffering today, and get out and support them and give them a little thought as this day goes on, at least once. If not, it'll come across my mind many times, and I'm sure you'll see it at the beginning of the NFL games today a little bit. So please, let's keep that in our minds. Not that we can't enjoy ourselves, because good morning, Carlos. Good to have you with us. It's an important day in our history, and we've managed to find a way to continue. The world changed that day, our country changed that day, but we found a way to not let it disrupt our everyday lives, unless you're traveling in an airplane, of course, which has gotten to be a disaster. But listen, with good reason, guys, with good reason. So anyway, keep that in the back of your mind. As I said, we'll jump into a lot of topics today. I'm going to start quickly with college football today. Good morning, Alan. So we'll go a little bit backwards. I'm going to go college football, Major League Baseball, and then we'll get into the NFL right after baseball. And then we'll have Mark Mancini on about 10 a.m. Eastern to talk about some of these same topics and go from there. Exactly, Carlos. Those that lost their lives, over 3,000 people, obviously, their families. So it affects, who knows, hundreds of thousands potentially when you factor in the first responders and their families as well. Because again, we talk about the families. It's not just what the victims' families went through, but the first, which was the worst. Again, this isn't levels of suffering, but the families of these first responders as well. So keep that in mind. Good morning, Rick Sherlock. I'm on the Carlos Fire, the coaches stream. My coaches stream and Jimbo Fisher after. I'm not ready to give up on Jimbo Fisher. Pittsburgh in the top 10. We're going to talk some about this for sure. Yes, very good point. Very good point, Carlos. This is why I say keep these guys are still here, and women are still here, and many of them suffering PTSD and worse conditions too. And as you see, now and again, as different things come before Congress and whatnot. So anyway, let's get started with a little sports talk, shall we? We won't dwell too much there. Just remember to keep them in your thoughts today. An interesting day in college football. Again, I'll start with Rick's comments. Jimbo Fisher, definitely. I have said this, and you guys have heard me say this week in and week out on this show. Well, not week in and week out, but whenever we're talking about college football on this show and the college football huddle, Jimbo Fisher, it's great to have these great recruiting classes, top 10 every year. By all accounts, maybe the number 1 recruiting class this year. Depends on who you listen to and the recruiting service rankings. It's time to start winning some games and make it to a conference championship game. You lose to Appalachian State yesterday, a team that gave up 60-some points to North Carolina last week. You got some quarterback problems there. King, I do not think is the answer. Maybe it's your offensive play calling, Jimbo. I'm not sure. But you got to get it together. And on the other topic, real quick, I'm not ready to give up on Marcus Freeman just yet. Listen, this is a team that is starting a freshman quarterback. Well, I think he's a freshman. This is his first year anyway. I think he played a little bit last year. But he might, for all intents and purposes, it's his first year. Losing to Marshall isn't a good thing at home. Unfortunately, if you didn't have Peacock Premium, I don't think you could have seen this game anyway. Listen, Marshall's not a horrible football team. Big day yesterday for Conference USA with getting wins over two major football programs in the same day. App State beating Texas A&M and Marshall beating Notre Dame. So a really good day. One of the big winners of the day is Conference USA. And we will get into some of your comments here. So, oops, get that one. Worst Alabama performance since 2007 penalty-wise. This is sloppy football out of Alabama. And again, Alan, I think you sent a note, and I think Carlos might have been referring to it without maybe saying it directly. They thought the SEC had a good day yesterday. I do not think the SEC had a good day yesterday. Because if I look at the schedule, or the games played yesterday, let's just look at the SEC real quick. We'll get through the top 25 in a second. Alabama just squeaks by a Texas team that we all thought, including me, by the way, would lose by 40. That's not good. Now, you can look at it as a good thing because Texas, is coming into the SEC in a few years or next year or whatever it ends up happening. 2025 is the target date. Georgia, they beat Samford 33-0. I'm not getting excited about that. I'm excited for Georgia because of their game last week against Oregon. App State beats Texas A&M. A&M number 6 in the country, by the way. Kentucky and Florida. I mean, I think this hurts the SEC. And I loved Kentucky yesterday, by the way. I was all over this game. Also, Jim Beringer and I, by the way, I got to give Jim Beringer a call out. Jim Beringer and I were both all over App State being an upset alert against Texas A&M. I'm sorry, Texas A&M being an upset alert against App State. And also Texas Tech potentially beating Houston at home, which both came to fruition. I also called the Kentucky game as well. I love Kentucky and Mark Stoops. If you watch the show, you get it. And if Georgia should falter a little bit, watch out for Kentucky. But I think this hurts the SEC too, because Florida had jumped all the way from unranked to 12. And I did not see a team. They gave Utah all they could take. And maybe that's what hurt Florida yesterday, was that game last week against Utah. Arkansas beats South Carolina 30-44, which I think was a really good football game, and a good win for Arkansas. Tennessee and Pittsburgh. Tennessee, listen, this wasn't an upset, by the way. I know some guys clarified this as an upset, but just because this is 24-17, the game was in Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, the game was in Tennessee. No, the game was in Pittsburgh. Tennessee was a 6.5-point favorite here. This isn't an upset. So you got to look at the right way, right? Just because Pittsburgh's ranked higher doesn't necessarily mean it's an upset. I bet the over in this game, by the way, and I needed one more score in overtime to get it, so I didn't get it. Ole Miss does win big over Central Arkansas. So what? A team that many people thought was improved. Vanderbilt after a big game against Hawaii a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember who they played last week in week 1. But Sam Hartman comes back and plays very, very well. 4 touchdowns, 300 yards passing, and just beats up Vanderbilt 45-25. I think even the Mad New Yorker was touting Vanderbilt in this game. Kansas State just annihilates Missouri. Kansas State, watch out for in that Big 12. Zeus Vaughn is a nice player, I'll tell you. 24 carries, 145 yards, and 2 touchdowns yesterday. Nice player. Watch out for him being a sneaky Heisman candidate this year. Auburn does beat San Jose State, but by 8. Not a bad football team, San Jose State, but still. LSU beats Southern. Good. They scored 65 points. Good for them. And Mississippi State does go to Arizona. So now one team, only the games that should have been big victories in my mind were pluses for the SEC. So I don't see them coming out as winners here. Let's look a little bit at some of these other comments I didn't get to. The swamp is steamy. Hey, you know what? Tough place to go and win a football game, and Kentucky played great. I think they played great football. I've told you all along. Now they got a new offensive coordinator, which is really the third offensive coordinator in 3 years for Levis. But I like the veteran quarterback leadership here. You know how I feel about that type of thing. I like the fact that they've got a really good running game, and even without their top running backs yesterday, they still, I think, ran the ball pretty well. Smoke, for one, was 14 carries for 80 yards. This is just a veteran team with a good coach that could do some damage in the SEC. I've said this for a couple of years. I could not get the game on NBC here, Alan, because I tried to tune it in. Fourth quarter, it was not on NBC unless I screwed up. And I went to look for it I doubt very much it'd be on Peacock Premium. And maybe it depends on where you are in the country. But when I searched it out, I couldn't find it anywhere but Peacock Premium. And I got enough streaming services without paying for that just for Notre Dame games. He's 0 for 3 and may win 6 games. Who are we talking about? Who's 0 3? Marcus Freeman? Listen, this is a tough place to step into. Marcus Freeman hasn't been a head coach before. You can't give up on your head coach after 3 games. This isn't there's no reason to think this is going to be Jerry Moeller type situation here. He didn't come from high school. He's got a great track record as an assistant at the major college level. And I don't see any reason to think I'm going to give up on this guy after 2 games. I think you're in 0-3. I guess you're including his bowl game performance last year, which was a classic game against Oklahoma State. Again, I'm not ready to throw in the towel here. You might want to throw the towel in on this year. And by the way, he's playing with a quarterback who doesn't have any experience, still has offensive line issues, which, again, blame some of the recruiting before he had a chance to get in there and try to fix this. He's playing with a lot of players Brian Kelly left behind. So maybe Brian Kelly knew something when he flew to Coop. No fight from the Irish. Listen, they put themselves in a bad place. They did have some fight left at the end, and it looks like they tried to make a push at the end of this game as I was following on the game tracker. Good morning to John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities, by the way, guys. One of our biggest supporters among the groups. The groups are all great. John runs a great group, though. I've told you guys in the past, we've put John in the spotlight. John and the Sports Authorities in our spotlight previously a few times, and I do it because it's a great group, and I want to see John continue to grow that. SEC teams winning outside the conference are never upsets. Well, I wouldn't say never, Neil. They do schedule a lot of cupcakes, but look, good. Alabama's scheduling Texas outside the conferences. Well, Texas is not. They might surprise. Who knows? But I didn't have them ranked high. A lot of people didn't have them ranked high. It's not a cupcake. This isn't Samford. Not to pick on you, Rick Sherlock, but it isn't some of the cupcakes that Alabama will play elsewhere. Even Utah State's better than the cupcakes they usually play. Hartman only seems 40. He does look 40. It's funny. Somebody was talking about on ESPN Game Day about somebody playing with a 40-year-old quarterback. It might have been a quarterback in Houston. They were talking about their head coach playing with a 40-year-old quarterback. They loved him yesterday. Well, you saw how that worked out. Watch out for Kansas. So Kansas with a very rare win in the Big 12 yesterday. They win in overtime over West Virginia, and Georgia transfer JT Daniels. I don't know if I'm willing to say Kansas should be watched out for. They better win. Let's see them win 2 conference games before I get too excited. Irish had 3 picks in the fourth quarter. Actually, right, the quarterback play killed them. I don't know. You may see him move on from Buckner. It's possible. And to me, you're going to find out, to go back to Rick's comments again, you start to find out about these coaches now. Do they panic? Do they stay the course? 2 losses for Notre Dame, if they're run the table, is not a horrible season. Will they run the table the way they look right now? No. And I don't know if I see a 6-win season here, Rick. Let's take a look again. We'll take a look just to concentrate on it. They're playing Cal next week. Should win. North Carolina might be a toss-up, but let's give them a win. They lose to BYU. I can see them beating Stanford at home. So that's 3. UNLV is 4. Syracuse, who's playing really good football, by the way, relatively speaking. A nice win against Louisville, who's not at their best at home last week, and they beat up on Connecticut last week. So anyway, there's 4. Clemson, they lose. Miami, they win is 5, 6. You're right. 6 or 7 probably is what we're looking at, Rick. So you're not too far off there. Peacock Plus, which is premium. So I don't know where Allen found the game, but good for him. Freeman, yes. I don't look at that. You can't get too excited. Somewhere in heaven, Bob Devaney is crying. Well, that's a good point. Let's comment. Let me see if I can. Let me back this up a little bit here. Hold on, guys. So just to kind of talk about. Come on, change. How come I can't change my scoreboard? There we go. Well, that's funny. I put the Big 12 scoreboard up, and I'm still. Oh, I see why. Never mind. Never mind. Kansas had Nebraska had a good game yesterday. Actually, they didn't play. At least that I can find on my scoreboard, John. And Bob Devaney should be crying because that Nebraska team is in disarray. We talked about it a bunch of times. Scott Frost is fired right now. The question with Scott Frost is, does he make it through the season? I have no confidence that they'll fire him right now. And I think they'll make him play out the season. And I hope they do. And for Scott Frost, again, he's another guy like Aaron Boone in baseball. I talked about this here, I think, Wednesday night. I have very little respect for guys who fire half their coaching staff, many of them who are their friends, lifetime friends in the game. And they do it to save their own skin rather than just walking the plank themselves. Peacock has 2 different rates and fees and sucks and is not forward. I'm not sure what forward means, but it is forward because this is the way it's going to be going forward. Carlos, you're going to have to go to a gazillion different places and get streaming services to be able to watch some of these games. Hopefully the even the things that you think are free. I mean, I have the ACC network. I have the Big Ten network. I have the SEC network. So I get extra games that would not be shown elsewhere. Got to watch the Miami game yesterday, for instance, on the ACC network. It probably wouldn't have been available otherwise. But just because I have that included in my streaming package, it does not mean I don't pay for it because the rates go up. Special teams, very good point, Rick. And I can't even, I'm trying to remember, I'm trying to pick out, Kentucky had some issues on special teams that they were able to overcome in their game. And there's so many miscues on special teams. I'm having trouble even picking out any other ones at the moment this particular week. But special teams always overlooked and one of the most important aspects of the game. And teams tend to overlook it. The good teams don't, though. The good teams don't. And if they do have bad special teams, they don't stay good teams for long, for sure. Matt New Yorker, I love, great point, Carlos. One thing I should have brought up when I was talking about the sports authorities, you like retro picks. If you're an old school guy like me, join the sports authorities and take a look at some of the stuff John posts. It's great. Plus the other things that you'll find there. You'll find some great shows posted there. It's not just this one. And again, thank you for that, John. But there's some other podcasts that get posted there and articles that get posted there. And John does a tremendous job, as we said. Oops, sorry. Yeah, you don't need to add him to the list of coaches getting fired. He's already fired. It's just a matter of whether he makes it to the end of the season or not. BYU Stadium was rocking last night. I called that game myself. I didn't call the game. Sorry. I liked BYU in this game. They were favored. Another game, you got to be careful looking and saying, "Oh, this is an upset." Baylor comes in there as a 2.5 or 3 point underdog, depending on where you were looking at the game. And BYU is just well coached. I think they're fired up to get into the Big 12 next year. And this is an opponent that they'll see many times going forward. So good stuff there. That's interesting. It could have been just maybe in the regions it's a different thing, Alan. I really have no clue. But again, listen, I don't have a problem paying for streaming services, but to me, I'm not going to get much out of Peacock than Notre Dame football. I'm not. And I got enough to stream. Like I said, I get with all these other major conferences having their own networks, which again I pay for because it's included in the price of my streaming app, and that streaming app prices will go up, guaranteed. Once the Big Ten contract kicks in, and when Notre Dame joins one of them, you're going to pay for this stuff. None of it's free. I watch ESPN Plus a lot. I pay the $6.99 a month for ESPN Plus for a couple of things. A lot of good articles on the website, and also you get some really good college football games that you would not get elsewhere. Pitt missed 2 field goals. Great point. Pitt's probably going to drop out of the standings this week, I'm thinking, and block it, right? So a lot of bad or good. I mean, that's both a bad and a good special teams, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. Anyway, what do we got? We got a couple more comments here. Funny how I'm known for getting coaches fired or want them out. Here goes Rick putting the list together. Listen, Carlos, I'm not against coaches getting fired. I talk about guys getting fired. Not just for the sake of firing guys, though. Right? Again, I will say Aaron Boone needs to go if the Yankees don't make it to the World Series. He's had his chances. I will say that Scott Frost should get fired. Not without cause. But I'm not going to say Marcus Freeman deserves to be fired right now. Guy needs to get a chance. Plus has all the 30-30s. You get all of that stuff that ESPN has done over the years, all the documentaries. There's the 30-30s, and there's a gazillion other documentaries there that are not in the 30-30 category. So here I am plugging ESPN Plus. How about sending some money my way, ESPN Plus? Maybe you don't think that this is a big show, and it's not. I'm not Joe Rogan by any stretch, but I can tell you when you look at my insights, this show reaches on a monthly basis about 40,000 people, right? So you can't tell because the show's spread out of so many different places after I air it live here, but all of them, that's not counting Twitter views or Twitter. The measurables on Twitter, I don't have any way to track those, or even YouTube. YouTube doesn't get a lot of views, but it's getting in front of a lot of people. Anyway, see, that's what I mean. Let's go next. Fire Tibbs. I'm not ready to fire Tibbs, but right now I can see why you can have that argument. You couldn't have it when you first brought it up. He revived the franchise, for crying out loud. Back to 9/11. It's not just first responders are here. Watch ESPN special, The Man in the Red Bandana. I have seen that. It's a very good point, Rick. There were people outside of official capacities that were heroes that day as well. The Man in the Red Bandana is a very good piece on ESPN, which, again, you can probably have to get ESPN Plus to see it at this point. But Can't imagine you talking about cannabis and extreme walk. What? I need some context here, Carlos. All right, I only want to spend a few more minutes on college because we've got the whole show Wednesday night to do it. So let me go through the top 25 real quick. We already talked about Alabama squeaking it out against Texas. Oklahoma beats Kent State 33-3, which they should. BYU takes it to number 9 Baylor in overtime, 26-20. Arizona State, absolute dumpster fire, loses to Oklahoma State 34-17. Watch out for Oklahoma State. They're getting much better quarterback play from Sanders. The defense is still playing pretty good, and I would watch out here for Oklahoma State, sneaky Big 12 champion in my mind. I think they could win this. And Texas Tech is another team to watch out for, as we talked about on the College Football Huddle with Jim Behringer. Jim Behringer, again, I'll give him a little shout-out, was all over these picks on Wednesday night. And we'll have him on again Wednesday. Kansas State 40-12 over Missouri. See, now I've got 3 sleepers in the Pac-12. This league's going to be better than we maybe anticipated. Like Kansas State a lot, and Deuce Vaughn. I just love Deuce Vaughn. Iowa State beats Iowa. No big surprise there. I guess the big surprise here is that Iowa actually scores a touchdown. And Kansas, as we said, 55. It's a Big 12 score. I take it back. I thought I was doing the top 25. I was still stuck in the Big 12. My bad. Let's go through the top 25 again. Marshall beats Notre Dame, as we said. Miami rolls over Southern Miss. Too many misses. Southern Miss 30-7. We talked about Alabama. We Georgia 33-0. Over Samford. Ohio State rolls over Arkansas State 45-12. Michigan rolls over Hawaii. We said if they didn't win by 40, it would be a problem. They win by 46. Clemson 35-12 over Furman, just down the street from them. App State, we said, beat Texas A&M. Already gave the Oklahoma score. Already gave that score. USC 41-28 over Stanford. Stanford tried to come back in this game after getting way down. Again, I still don't think this is indicative of how good or bad, or I won't say they'll be bad, how good or mediocre, let's say, USC is. We'll see. USC is going to have to run the table now in the Pac-12 probably to get to a playoff. We talked about Kentucky and Florida. Utah with a big comeback win yesterday over Southern Utah. So what? Michigan State 52-0 over Akron. Nobody cares. Arkansas with a nice win over South Carolina. We talked about the Tennessee-Pittsburgh game. Good win for Rocky Top. 2-0. Good start for Josh Heupel's team. I do think they had a chance to win this game by more yesterday. Letting this game get to overtime was probably not good. North Carolina State rolls over Charleston Southern. Washington State upsets Wisconsin, who I thought was back this year. Washington State goes to 2-0. Wisconsin 1-1. Ole Miss beats up on Central Arkansas 59-3. Nobody cares. Wake Forest, I think, with a nice victory in Sam Hartman's return, 45-25. And as we mentioned, Texas Tech beats everybody's sweetheart Group 5. Find a new one, because Houston loses what should have been probably the second game in a row. They did squeak by Texas San Antonio last week to get a win there. Joe Rogan. Right? I should get Joe Rogan money and views. Good morning. Billy's in California today. Good to have you with us, Bill. You're up early there. Good to see you this morning. Waldo has been found. Long Beach, California is where he is. I did notice a couple posts yesterday. One misses is enough. Yeah, Carlos, I don't know where you're coming from here. I still don't know what you're talking about with the cannabis and extreme workouts. Kenny might be able to help you with this, Carlos. Check out his Pick'em name I did. Guys, I'll talk about the Pick'em in a little bit. Guys got to get in there and change your name so that I know who we're talking about. A couple of people did. Rick, I'm assuming you're the Perth Red Raider. But I need a couple people to get in, and if you don't know how to do it, I'll kind of try to show you if we have time. Alabama gave every chance to get beat for sure. We had talked about this game a lot, Billy, for sure, before you got here, and Alabama. But you can look at this two ways. You gave them every chance to win and still win. Go Bama. You're kind of giving it a good spin. I'm giving it a bad spin. I see some other teams will be excited to see that Alabama may be vulnerable. We'll see. First real competition they've had all year. So, all right, let's move on to some Major League Baseball talk here, guys. The season is. I got to find my. I got a couple topics I want to chat about here. So around the league a little bit. Let's just take a quick look around the league. I'm gonna go through the scoreboard real quick. Just look for some pertinent scores yesterday. Yankees roll yesterday. And by the way, why is Judge hitting leadoff? Aaron Boone. There's no way. I want my look at, and I know teams have done this in the past. George Brett and Hal McRae hit lead off in second for a while, and Kansas City years and years ago. There's no way Judge should be leading the league in RBIs, and he keeps batting them. He's batting them lead off a number of times this year. I'm just not buying it. Yankees do get the win 10-3. James Taillon gets his 13th win. He's pitched some pretty good games this year, by the way. Big win for the Yankees as well, which we'll talk about in a second. The White Sox 10-2. Tony La Russa returned yesterday. They get a win yesterday. We'll talk more about them in a second. Elvis Andrews with a home run against his former team. The surging Sox get 20 hits in this game. I don't care about that game. We don't care. The Orioles get pounded 17-4. The Phillies win. The Mets win 11-3. Nice game there. Canha with his first career grand slam. Blue Jays trying to stay relevant in the East. We'll talk about it in a second when we get to the standings. Angels beat the Astros again. Astros have had a tough time with some of the lower-rung teams in the American League West. Trout hit homers in his sixth game in a row here, by the way. The Brewers with a big win for them, 5-1 over the Reds. Twins lose to the Guardians, big series there. Cardinals beat the Pirates. Nobody cares about that game. Dodgers again beat the Padres. Mark Mancini will come in here and tell you again how the Padres are surging, and he's watching different games than I am, obviously. And the Braves lose to the Mariners. And so let's jump to the standings and kind of look at where we are today. Got to find the standings, though. Apparently, I got rid of them. All right, let's pull it up here. Standings: Yankees in the East maintain a 4.5 game lead now after splitting the first two games of this series. It's only 3 in the loss column, though, guys. So again, a loss today leaves Tampa just 2 games out in the loss column. That's really the important number, by the way. You can make up wins, you can't make up losses. This is why the series, a sweep here, would have been disastrous, as they would have been tied in the loss column. The Blue Jays creep to within 5 games. They won their 3rd straight yesterday. The Orioles are dropping out of sight here a little bit. We'll talk about the wild card standings in a second. The White Sox moved to within a game and a half of the Guardians yesterday, the team formerly known as the Indians, with their 4th win in a row. La Russa back, as we said, after a mystery illness for him. The team did very well. Last I knew, they were 7-3. They must have been 8-3, I think, under Miguel Cairo. And I was rooting hard for Miguel Cairo, former Yankee utility guy who was a key contributor to some good teams. The Twins 3.5 out there in the Central, still in play in the wild card as well. The Astros continue to lead the Mariners by 3. The Mets get back into first place after falling out of first place on Saturday. They get back into first place by half a game with a win yesterday and a Braves loss. And the Phillies remain 10.5 out there. The Cardinals have still maintaining an 8-game lead over the Brewers. They're done in the division. Their only hope is a wild card. Give me the word. Entry into the playoffs. And the Dodgers by 19. I'll try it again. 19 over the Padres. Keep coming in here, Mark, and tell me how good they are. The wild card races, the Rays, the Jays, and the Mariners still hold the 3 spots in the American League. It could be done. It could be over. Baltimore's fallen to 5 games behind. The White Sox 6.5. Twins probably done at 8.5. And the Red Sox have been done for a while. This is probably just a matter of order right now. Could the Orioles sneak back in here? Yes. But the problem is somebody's going to be winning ahead of them all the time. And in the National League, the Braves or Mets will be definitely that number 1 seed, number 1 wild card seed. The Phillies hold the 2nd spot with a half-game lead over the Padres, and the Padres are now 3 games clear of the Brewers. The Brewers were the only chance to crash this party of the teams that are not already there, but don't count them out. Their pitching is starting to play a little better, and I don't look at. They don't hit enough. They did nothing to improve their offense at the trade deadline, and it's really starting to kick them in the ass now. Alan changed his name and pick him. I know we'll talk about that. It's the years, Alan, and a few I can recognize. So I'll show you guys how to do it quickly. And if you're not in there, I don't know if you're in there or not, Neil, but certainly jump in if you want, guys. Actually, you know what I'll do real quick? Let's see if I can get there quick enough to do this. Probably not, right? Pain on my butt. Let me go to my profile. I know I shared it there. What I want to do is share this thing in the group here. So any of you guys who haven't seen it, I can put it in here for you quickly. Here we go. Let me copy this URL. You're not going to let me do it, are you? Damn it. Can't do it from there. I'll find a way to do it here before the show is over, guys. Anyway, back to your comments about Major League Baseball. Joe Rogan experience. Oh, Joe Rogan. Yeah. No, I can't be talking about cannabis. And, maybe that's why he's making, $30 million a year or whatever he's making. I can talk about coffee and beer and, relaxing in the recliner. Rick saying good morning to the pulverizer all over the world. You said too many misses. Boone got lucky with that stupid line. You know what? I don't understand, Neil. This isn't the first time. He's batted Judge leadoff a couple of times. And in a way, I understand his thinking. I want my best hitter to get as many opportunities as possible. But that's similar to what Tony La Russa used to think about when he pit his pitcher above his 8th guy because he thought his pitcher was better. I don't know what that was. I guess it's not related to that. But when you got a guy like Boone, you got to put some guys in there that are table setters and hope they get on base because either way, he's sitting with nobody on base. At least once a game. Just nonsensical. Aaron Boone, I had great hopes for Aaron Boone. And this is not new, guys. I've been talking about Aaron Boone getting fired since last July. Yankees had their shot to get Buck out of the broadcast booth. They had a shot over the offseason, but Boone's another guy who threw his coaches under the bus to keep his job. Zero respect. Brewers are a giant disappointment, Neil. If you watched the MLB preview show that I did back in April with Drew, I picked the Brewers to be the World Series winner, and it's going to be almost impossible to see that happen. I can see right now the Braves repeating, though. Desperation, yes. I mean, desperate times call for desperate measures, right, Neil? But you're hurting yourself when you put your best hitter in the leadoff spot and don't give him a chance to drive in runs. I can almost see him in the 2-hole. I would like to see him in the 3-hole all year, though. If he was hitting third, he'd been leading the league in RBIs. And on that topic, by the way, I want to talk about this a little bit because, I keep hearing all this stuff about this race for the AL MVP. Now, you can make an argument for somebody else besides Aaron Judge. I'm not sure how you do it. You could probably throw somebody at me that I might listen to, but it's not going to be Ohtani. This isn't the best player. And I know Neil thinks he's overrated. We had this conversation, I think, on might have been Friday. Ohtani's maybe a little overrated by the media, but Ohtani is a tremendous talent. But you take Ohtani off of the Angels, and what's their record? What's the record with them, I should say? 17 games under 500, 17 games out of first place. You take the Aaron Judge this year off the Yankees, this team's nowhere near first place. Nowhere near first place. So please, again, I won't go as far as Neil did the other day and say overrated is different than saying he's not any good. So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt there, Neil. I apologize. Because he is a great player. I understand his batting average isn't that great, but listen, nobody's batting average is that great because the league average is about 230. Because the way the game is played, we don't care about it. Which don't get me going on the rules changes we voted on the other day. Maybe we'll talk about that here a little bit. Watch my vlog from Friday. I thought my head would explode. Oh, boy. Carlos, who replaces Boone or Cashman? I don't know. I really don't know who the contenders are going to be. I know that somebody posted in one of the groups. There's Drew. We'll say good morning. Good morning, Drew. I'll say to you before I get to your comment. Somebody posted in one of the groups, and I did like it. It was a friend of mine talked about Jeter coming in and running New York. That's not going to happen. I don't think Jeter's going to come in and run this front office. But Don Mattingly potentially being the manager. Mattingly's going to have a hard time keeping his job in Miami, and he's done a great job there. With what he's had to work with, Don Mattingly's done a great job in Miami. I don't know that he's going to be considered for this job, though. I'm not really sure. I'm going to have to think about it a little more and see. Rick talked about Dr. Paul Semendinger, he was on a debate show yesterday with Mac and Jack on Northeast Streaming Sports, and also has his own show on Monday nights called Start Spreading the News. Also a prolific Yankee blog writer. So Dr. Paul is a good guy for you guys to follow if you're Yankee fans. He was talking about Boone's lack of coaching experience at any level down to Little League. He's not the only guy who's ever done this. Did this with no experience. Some haven't done it very well. Robin Ventura didn't do it very well. Some have done it well. Bob Brenly had no experience outside of the announcing booth, similar to Boone, and won a World Series against the Yankees, actually, with the Diamondbacks. So it probably comes into play a little bit, but if you surround yourself with the right people and then maybe stand behind them when ownership wants them gone, you might be okay. Only anti-New York votes? That's possible, Neil. And there will be some. But I can't come up with a better candidate than Boone. Because, again, I can't think of a guy, if I took him off the team, that team would, be 20 games worse. Drew, Brewers only NL team right now to still have a shot at the wild card. Right, and I think I said they were, 3 games behind. Not playing good enough. I don't see them catching unless – you could see the Phillies maybe going on a losing streak because of their lack of pitching depth, some issues in the bullpen from time to time. Defense still a major issue there. Lost a game this week on a Reese Hopkins error. You can't give those games away in September. I think the Orioles are done, though. 5 games back. Drew, I think it's starting to catch up with them. I just don't. I think it's done. I think we have our 3 in the American League for sure, and I think it may come down to Phillies or Brewers, and I'm going to give Phillies the edge, obviously, since they have a 3-game lead. I think the American League's set, except for the order of finish. Otherwise, the players are close to set. And I wouldn't, Drew, I would not discount the fact you're talking about the American League, I guess. You obviously got races in the American League. You got National League West or National League East. Do not say that. Don't think that's not important who wins this. I would think you want to avoid that extra round of playoffs by any means possible. You'll get all the games at home, but you won't have your pitching lined up for the next series most likely. So winning that division in the National League East is very, very important. And obviously in the AL Central, it's important because AL Central is important because the other team's not making the playoffs most likely. I tried to bury the White Sox forever, and now I think the White Sox have a pretty good shot. Unless Tony La Russa comes back in here and screws up the momentum they had under Miguel Cairo, is the only way I see that. And I'm not saying the Yankees are home free yet. A win today might go a long way towards me saying that, but I'm not going to say they're home free just yet. Let's see. You should have ended with your head exploding. Like a mic drop. Oh, my God. I got to find a graphic. Maybe I can do that if I can find a little video I can put it at the end of one of my vlogs with my head exploding. These Major League New Baseball rules, by the way, and I'll touch on this. I'll go back to the comments, but I want to throw this out there because we're going to spend another 15 minutes or so on Major League Baseball before we go to the NFL. We can talk more about these division races, any news in baseball. I haven't even looked at the news yet. But another topic I want to get out there so you guys can put some comments up. If you didn't watch my vlog on Friday, watch it. Please watch it. But I was talking about the rules that have been voted in by Major League Baseball. So ridiculous. We don't need to put in timer. I mean, yes, will it speed up the game? Yes, we have rules in the rule book to just need to be enforced to speed up the pace of play. Pitchers and time clocks. There's certain things they're supposed to do that are in the rule book, including the hitters need to be in the batter's box. We can fix this, right? The time and length of games is a lot due to commercial timeouts, the number of pitching changes, which they've limited this year. Doing things like changing the number of times you can throw over to first base is ridiculous. Increasing the size of the bases is ridiculous. Eliminating the shift is ridiculous. Teach guys how to play the game right, and don't put in every rule to help offensive baseball. Making the bases bigger to protect the players is a lot of nonsense. So they put two rules in: a bigger bag for players that go at the slide when they're stealing, and also the elimination of being able to step off the rubber or throw to first base more than twice. Helps the offense. Helps. Please, I'm just my head will explode. So if anybody wants to talk about this, we can certainly do it in this next few minutes. Jeter won't go down for any ownership status. Well, he's not buying the Yankees because he doesn't have $7 billion to do it. So if he wants to be involved with the Yankees, he could get involved with an ownership stake. I would love to see them bring Jeter into the organization because, when it comes to the front office, I have no problem. Levine can go. Cashman can go. There's nobody in that front office. Dr. Paul does have some very good books, by the way, so check them out. If you guys haven't and you're a baseball fan, Neil, you would probably like his stuff a lot. So if you haven't checked out, Start Spreading the News, the podcast that Dr. Paul does, check that out and check him out online. Look for his books. He writes some good stuff. Boone no, they're not stuck with him, Neil, and they can eat the money. This is the Yankees. I don't think they're stuck with him in any way, shape, or form. Said this forever about different guys. We're the Yankees. They can afford to eat these contracts. As stupid as they are, they should never have extended them. And they do it only because you don't want a guy with lame duck status in there. That's why they extend them. But there's no reason they can't fire him and bring in somebody who will be more productive. I'm tired of seeing Aaron Boone make excuses for players. I mean, he makes an excuse for Hicks again Friday night, took him out of the game, but then he didn't even say, we got to be better. We got to be better on defense, and I can't put guys out there who are not focused on the game. He can't say that. He takes them out to protect him please, the fans are booing him for a good reason. Boone's from a baseball family. Yes, 3 generations, about to be 4. Brett Boone's son was drafted last year's Major League draft, I think by the Nationals. So he's probably going to get fast-tracked if he's any good. He was better off with his first set of coaches. I agreed. I told you exactly. No, the problem with Boone is the fact that he does not motivate his players to be better. He does not hold his players to be accountable. He let his coaches get fired to save his own job. And I don't disagree that the lack of experience. He played the game. So that should be enough. He's a student of the game. He's a smart guy. But the little things he does by not holding guys accountable is probably the biggest thing that I have. Stop making excuses for guys. I don't think Boone should have been coach. It's a manager, by the way. Again, I don't know how many times I got to point this out to you, Carlos. We have managers in baseball, coaches elsewhere. But that list of Yankee ownership, listen, I don't remember who was on that list now. I was happy Girardi was gone, and I was actually happy with the Boone firing. In all transparency, I was not unhappy with the Boone hiring when it happened. But he has proven, and again, he won 100 games twice so far. He's not going to get to 100 this year, but it'll be at 90, 95, whatever. But no postseason success at all. The pitch clock will also, again, all of these rules, they're unnecessary, number one. There are rules in the rule book to make sure pitchers throw the ball within a certain amount of time. There are rules to keep hitters in the batter's box. We don't enforce them. So either the umpires are not stressed to enforce them, or they tell them to look the other way or don't give them the authority to do so. And the great thing about baseball, I don't want to watch 4-hour games either, guys. But the great thing about baseball, there is no clock. That's always been one of the big things that separates baseball from everything else. Now there's a clock. What's next? Games can only be, if you play the game the way it's supposed to be played and you enforce the rules the way they're supposed to be enforced, you'll have 2.5-hour games again. Go back and watch some games on YouTube from the 70s, from the 60s, and games went 2 hours. Because guess what? The ball went back to the pitcher. The pitcher was ready to pitch. The batter was in the box, and it was probably 10 seconds between pitches. They do not. Oh, my God. Maybe they do. But that's what you want to do, is appease TV contractors. Let's change the dynamics of the game entirely so we appease the contract, the TV contract holders. Don't care. You're not appeasing the fans. Maybe fans who think this game was invented in the year 2000, Carlos, but it wasn't. Media companies want 2 to 3 hour. Well, fine. Bullshit. Excuse my French. You don't put rules in to appease television. If you do, you're on your way to non-existence. Drew, what do you got? Always when a player rises above his, always enjoy when. This is a good. Well, Devers and Bogart probably going to be a former Red Sox. Another example of a team that should have traded guys at the trade deadline, Drew. If you're going to let guys reach free agency and you're not in contention, and the Red Sox weren't, they were fooling themselves. The Rangers, again, Alan, fall into the same boat. If you're going to let a guy reach free agency and you're not in contention, there's zero reason not to trade him. You can negotiate it with him as a free agent, which is what you're going to do anyway. But Zach Gallen's pitched very, very well for sure with the Diamondbacks, who have had a bit of a resurgence here in the second half of the season. What they do yesterday? How now they're on as I say that, they're on a 4-game losing streak. They'd had a bit of a good run here. Zach Gallen has pitched really, really well under the radar for sure. So good points there all. Boone has managed, in quotation marks, to turn the Yankees team into a joke. Not all by himself. I'll give Boone the benefit of the doubt. He didn't put this team together. Brian Cashman did. And they had a good run, from mid-April on, but the problems on his team have not been addressed by Cashman. The only thing he ever addressed issues on his team was getting more left-handed power, and it didn't work out because the guy he got was freaking Joey Gallo. Rizzo's been a good pickup, low batting average, but a great leader on the field. Him coming back will be huge for the Yankees. I do believe I saw some news that he was going to be back. Did I not see that? Oh, let's see. Is this the story that I saw? No, it's changed. That's Bader. Bader's coming back. That'll help the Yankees defense. We won't see guys like Hicks in the outfield anymore. I don't know. I can't find the story now. Oh. Not to stick up for Carlos, but there are coaches but he's talking about, I think he was talking about him as a coach. Whatever. If I'm mistaken, I apologize. But Boone had not coached or managed at any level. But again, that's not in today's Major League Baseball. That's not an unusual thing. I won't say it's a norm, but there have been. I gave a couple of examples earlier. Gabe Kapler is another example of a guy who is never on the field and has had mixed results. But there's another example. So I don't think that alone. He's got a good baseball IQ. He really does. But again, he's just. Again, my biggest problem with Aaron Boone has always been the same thing: hold your guys accountable, and he doesn't do it. It should. I don't know if they hate the past, Alan. I think that might be an overstatement, but they don't care about it. They don't care to learn the history of the game. When I started watching baseball in late 60s, early 70s, I cared about the history of the game. I learned about not just the Yankees, but the history of baseball. There was a time I could have given you every World Series winner for 50 years. Can't do it anymore. Mainly because I'm 62 and I can't remember. But they don't care to learn. All they care about is today. That's all they care about. Today and going forward. They don't care about the history of the game and what's made the game great. The things that made the game great are things they're trying to take away today. No, I don't think that's. I'm not dismissing Brian Cashman in this mess at all. Cashman should go as well. Cashman probably won't go. But at the end of the day, Boone is accountable. He's a guy on the field. And I listen, the record hasn't been bad. But he continues to make excuses for guys. Just look at his comments about Aaron Hicks Friday night, and that tells you everything you need to know about why Aaron Boone is not going to be able to get over the top with his team. Now, you can say, oh, he does it behind closed doors, but whatever. Then don't say anything. Say, I'll address that behind closed doors. That sends a better message than saying, I wanted to protect Hicks from the fans, because the fans, by the way, were well within their rights to boo Aaron Hicks Friday night's game. Horrendous display in the outfield. Not his first time this year. This guy used to be a good defensive player. He's terrible. Which is easier to replace, a GM or a manager? Probably a GM. Probably finding a good guy. It's a gazillion guys. You put the right, look at, depending on the roster you have available, depends on that. You have to pick a guy who can either get in guys' faces or get out of the way. Joe Torre was not a tremendous game strategist. Joe Torre had some simple rules. He held guys accountable, and he got out of the way and let guys play and do their jobs. Buck is a good manager because he holds guys accountable. And guys want to learn from him. He does it in a way guys want to learn from him. Who replaced these guys and get the Yankees to a lead? Who? Like who? That's a good question, Carlos. Who? Now, I'll give you credit, or not credit, but because at the time, my comments I will still stand by when the Yankees were 15 and a half games up. We didn't need to be throwing Peraza in the middle of the pennant race. Well, now we need some energy. We need a boost in energy. And I'm putting Peraza in the lineup at shortstop or second base every day. Now he's also taking some reps at first base, by the way, with LeMahieu and Rizzo out. But get him in the lineup every day. Maybe stick him at the top of the lineup so I don't have Aaron Judge hitting leadoff. Freaking good grief. Ew, Alan, you're covering up my whole face, which is probably a good thing. I want to move on to the NFL here quickly. Recency bias is a terrible thing. Will LeBron do well in the? It's almost impossible to compare eras, right? Whether it's baseball, football, basketball, any sport, football. The games change. I get that. I understand, but the game itself shouldn't change. The players can get bigger and stronger and faster and more well-conditioned. The equipment gets better. I get all that. But you don't have to change fundamentally the way the game is played, which is Major League Baseball's trying to do. The NFL does it. I know Buck's taken. He ain't going nowhere. Treatment also changes with time. That's a good point. Good compare. I'm not sure I agree with that comment. I got problems with that too. I'm not a parent per se. I didn't raise children, but I can tell you, I see somebody who has a deal with people. I can tell by the way some people were raised that, they ran their household. I can't believe the level of entitlement that people think they have today. I'm talking about from a professional standpoint. So maybe it is a good comparison. If you don't hold your kids accountable, they're going to grow up to be bad adults. They just are. What's that sign I post a lot of times? Uncoachable kids turn out to be unmanageable employees or something. Well, you can't send a kid outside to grab a branch from a tree. Why not? I did. Go outside. I found a stick and some rocks, and I hit him. I had a blast for hours. Just so you know, Drew, I should try to find this damn. I'll do this during the football segment here. The worst week will get dropped. So if some reason, this ends up being your worst week, it'll get dropped anyway. And not everybody was on the Bills. Let's switch topics here. Let's move to the NFL. We are week one. We're at week one. I'll get to some of these other big stories in baseball. Oh, by the way, Louis Pujols did hit his 696 home run last night to tie A-Rod. Still with that shot at 700, 4 more to go. We talked about Trout in his 6 straight home games hitting a home run. Rizzo will resume baseball activities today. That's what I was looking for. Lucia cleared to manage and travel. Maybe not good for the White Sox. Talked about Hicks. Edwin Jackson, 14 teams in 17 seasons, retires. So a little bit of baseball news. In the NFL, what's going on here? Real quick, some news. A little bit of news and notes around the NFL. Let's get into that a little bit. Sources believe Jackson declined a $250 million offer. He will not negotiate, he says, during the regular season, a la Aaron Judge. Listen, I'm not sold on Lamar Jackson, long-term successful quarterback in the NFL. Not a good season for the Baltimore this year. I don't foresee a good season for them this year because of the lack of quality tools around Jackson. And they can keep franchising him and not have to extend him, at least for the present future. That the Rams were interested in Jimmy G if he had gotten cut by the 49ers. Still, it just seems like an untenable situation there in San Francisco, where they told him to stay away from camp. They didn't give him a playbook. And then when it came to cut down time, he's still on the roster. And listen, if Trey Lance is not ready to play, we don't even know Jimmy G can play. Nobody's seen him throw since he had his shoulder surgery. So we'll see what happens there. The Bucs not counting on a Gronk return. I think the Bucs are going to have a tough year this year. If you watch the NFL preview that I did with Alan, I think the Bucs finish out of the playoffs. And I think the distractions around Tom Brady and his being torn between his personal life and his professional life is going to have an impact this year. What else we got? Saints Thomas is expected to play. So that's it. Let's look at the games today, shall we? This is a fantasy. We don't want that. I want the scoreboard. Where am I? Here we go. NFL scoreboard. So we already started off, by the way, with I'll get to your comments here too. Maybe we have something we got to finish up here. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Drew. Neil might want to get in. If anybody else hasn't gotten in, follow that link. You can get into Pigskin Pick'em, and I will do my best here. You know, I could have just gone to the site here. I got it saved on my bookmarks. I tried to do this without the spread, guys, and for whatever reason, the system would not let me set it without the spread. So next year, I'll have to have Drew show me how he set his up without the spread, because I don't know why. It just was not giving me that option. We do have 12 guys in there now, too, guys. So when you get in there, and I know Drew explained this, maybe Drew, if you guys have an issue, you can explain, Drew. But if you go to your team, right next to where if you go into the league, no, you don't want to do that. You want to open up your specific team. So your entry, go to the little wheel to the right there, and you'll see where you can name your entry. Mine, for instance, I changed to TGI Sports Talk from whatever generic thing that the system gave me. So kind of do that, and then we can identify you guys as we go forward. Thanks for putting that up, by the way, Drew. There you go. I just talked about that. Alan seems to be on the same page with me all the time. My mom was a simple woman. She used a broom and made a wood to smack my backside. Yeah, well, we can't do that anymore either. You might need to be smacked a few more times, Carlos. I'm not sure. Ella, who wins the NFC South? I have Tampa not winning the NFC South. I have Carolina winning the NFC South. The Saints finishing second in the playoffs, and Tampa Bay out. Rams did not acquit themselves well as Super Bowl champs. Agreed. Game 1, though, I can't get too excited or not excited. I mean, I think I take more away from the way the Bills played than I do with the way the Rams played. The Bills are on a mission. The Bills have tons of weapons. Josh Allen looked better than I've ever seen him look as far as accuracy, finding the guy, taking what was given to him. Plus, he's just such a great weapon. He's like, if you're a fantasy player and you don't have Josh Allen on your team, you can tell me about what wide receivers you should take before quarterbacks. Never. I end up with Josh Allen in 2 leagues I play in because I wasn't letting him get past me. But I still like the Rams to get out of the NFC because who else is gonna, Drew? Right? Who else is going to get out of the NFC? Green Bay, maybe. But I think Green Bay's got some issues. I think the Vikings will win the NFC North. All the guys does is win in the 49. Jimmy Garoppolo he does win. But again, whether Carlos likes to admit it or not, it's got a lot to do with the system. Don't forget, Jimmy G threw the ball 8 times in an NFC Championship game. I might have to go back to the Miami Dolphins in the 70s to find a pass attempts that low in a playoff game. Maybe not, but you would think I would. So Jimmy G has his drawbacks. I don't think Jimmy G's a good game manager. And you put Jimmy G on a really good team, they could win a Super Bowl. 49ers showed they couldn't do it. And 49ers now have invested a lot in Trey Lance, so that's why he's not getting a chance there. Brady has no impact. There's so many distractions here in Tampa. I do want to get to the games here before Mark Mancini comes on at 10. No scanner barcode on what? Not sure what that is. The impact for Brady. Listen, you're right. Tom Brady has a 75 million. What's he got? A 7. I don't remember the numbers now. They're not. He has a huge TV deal waiting for him whenever he retires. I want to say $750 million over 10 years. Is that actually right? Am I remembering that right? Plus all the distractions he had without training camp. Don't tell me there aren't guys in that locker room that resent that. He's got a new offensive line that he needed to be working with, and he didn't. And his weapons are not as good as they were before. So I see this team struggling. Football's back. Feels good to have games today. It does. I will say this. It feels good to have football today. Tired of talking about, off the field stuff. Same thing when I felt with college. Alan did pick the Saints. You can watch our NFL preview show. Maybe I'll try to share it again one more time today, just so it's there for people to watch. But I did pick the Bills to beat Kansas City in the American Conference Championship, and I picked the Rams to beat the Cardinals in the NFC. Well, the Bills didn't really try to run the ball, though, the other night, Drew. I think they took what the Rams were giving them, which was some intermediate pass routes, which Allen took advantage of. They only tried to run the ball 8 times, and Singletary was successful. He averaged 6 yards a carry. So whether they'll commit to that run game and whether they need to is another story. You need to in the fourth quarter. You need to be able to finish out games running the football. We saw that in the playoffs. I do think their line is better this year, and I do think they'll probably the biggest downside for the Bills was Cook fumbling the ball and going into a Bill Belichick-like witness protection program right after his fumble. I don't know. I mean, they got to did they not get to the AFC Championship? I'm sorry, they didn't. Did they not? Have they not gotten to the AFC Championship game with that style? And the way they got offense, the weapons they have on in the passing game are just tremendous. he's not the most underrated quarterback in the league. Kirk sipping coffee, making millions. I'm not a big Kirk Cousins fan, but I do like the Vikings to win the North. Winston's going to have to step up and not get injured when it counts. Well, again, you can't always predict injuries. He's not been injury prone in his career. So I'm not really willing to say, this is a guy who can't stay healthy. And he had pretty good numbers. And I had to go back and look because I'm not a big Jameis Winston fan. And Allen is and likes him with the Saints. And I went back and looked, and he had a pretty damn good year until he got hurt last year. Good morning, Rado. Good to have you with us. Giants win 5 games. I have talked a lot about Saquon having a good year this year on this show, many of my shows. I'm with Dan Harris on the Let's Talk New York Sports show on Let's Talk Sports. I think Saquon will have a big year this year, and I do think the Giants will be. And Alan will be glad to point this out. I think the Giants will finish second in the NFC East, and the team formerly known as the Redskins will win it. And Saquon Barkley will have a great year. And you will see some improvement from Daniel Jones. I do not think Daniel Jones will ever be an elite quarterback, but I think Daniel Jones, if he can learn to – and they can put him in positions to succeed, which he has not been put into positions to succeed. I think you'll see a better quarterback out there in the field for the Giants this year. And keep in mind, it isn't Daniel Jones' fault that he was drafted 6th by the Giants. If Daniel Jones were drafted at the back of the first round or early in the second round, you would look at Daniel Jones in a whole different light right now. He's gotten better. He didn't have a bad year last year. I'm sorry. He didn't have an awful year last year. He got better. And there's Allen's picks, which you can see in our Carlos wants to have a Rattles having to drink. He only picked them to win 5 games, Carlos. So I'm pretty sure Rattles agreeing with your assessment of the Giants altogether, Carlos. Mad New Yorker, mad again. Giants win today, but Tennessee. I like Giants today. As a Giant fan, I'm okay with getting ready for 2023. Listen, the Giants will not make the playoff. They will finish second in the NFC East. The NFC East, anybody could finish in any one of those 4 positions in my mind. It could be any combination of 1 through 4 you want to put out there. The team that gets the best quarterback play will probably win. And that doesn't mean Dak is a lock for that either, by the way. All right, let's get into the games. Should I pick them with the spread, guys, or shouldn't I? I guess I'll give you, just so you have my picks and you know that I didn't. Cowboys will win an easy division. That's why I think the Redskins can win this. Believe me, the NFC East is not the best division in football. The most talented division of football. It's the most competitive, though, because the teams are very close, I think. Yeah, it's possible that, I think there are a lot of things up in the air. In the AFC East, is it going to be the Patriots or the Dolphins that step forward or fall backwards? Either team could do it. The Jets will have some improvement, but not ready to win. Same questions out west. Is Josh McDaniels going to be better in his second go-round? Is Russell Wilson got enough left to carry Denver? Who's second in the NFC West? Too many people like the Giants today. I don't like the Giants, Rado, as I'm sure you're well aware. I do not like the Giants. I like what they've done. I like their hire of Brian Daboll. I think he can fix. Don't forget, Daniel Jones has played better than Josh Daniels. Oh my God, his name just totally slipped my mind. Isn't this terrible? This is the Prevagen moment that we all fear. Josh Allen has played early in his career. Daniel Jones was better early on. Brian Daboll built this machine that is Josh Allen today. Now, talent has a lot to do with it. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. Cowboys be sitting down? AFC Wild West, yes, wide open. I don't know if we're going to get to the picks today or not. Yeah, Alan, I am getting old. I've said many times on this show, Rado, that Prevagen should be my number one sponsor on this show. Oh, my God. All right, let me give you my picks real quick, and you guys can throw any comments you want. We'll go through this for the next. I'm gonna do the picks off our pick'em page, and let's see if I can share this. All right, I'll do it afterwards. I'll put this link up before we get done here. I promise. So I did pick the Bills on Thursday night and came away a winner. Just an FYI. I have the Saints -5.5 over the Falcons. I do think the Falcons are a mess. I don't think Mariota is the answer. I'm certainly not sold on, as much as I'm high on Ritter, I'm not sure that he's going to be ready to play any football this year. The Saints will win this game, and I think win it by a touchdown or better. 49ers, I have taken the Bears on the road +6.5. I just don't think the 49ers are going to get off to a strong start. I don't think they're going to have a good year. I think Trey Lance needs another year, and maybe he'll have a year like Josh Fields had last year. And the Bears, by the way, have done nothing to help Josh Fields. I only take this game thinking they can cover 6.5 at home. I would expect the 49ers to win the game. I like the Bengals -6.5 against the Steelers. And certainly to win the game, obviously. Just, I do think the Steelers would be better than you think. Remember, Coach Tomlin's never had a losing season. I like Mitchell Trubisky, and I think that Nagy screwed him up badly in Chicago. I think he had a year sitting on that Buffalo bench watching Josh Allen, and that offense probably helped him. And I do think if they use him the right way, he can be a reasonable NFL quarterback. Now, I realize that he's got Kenny Pickett pushing him at some point here, but I like Trubisky, and I wish he had landed somewhere else that was not going to maybe have that. The Giants would have been a good place for him to land and get competition, real competition for Daniel Jones. I like the Lions at home against the Eagles. I think the Eagles, again, are going to be a bit of a disappointment this year. I know they got a lot of weapons. I'm not confident in the quarterback play there. And I think the Lions will, again, I don't have the confidence that Allen has in the Lions this year. And I'll get to your guys' comments here in a second. But I do think that the Lions will be better this year. And if you're going to give me 4.5 at home, I'll take it. I'll take the Patriots +2.5 on the road. Probably a heart bet because this team's going to struggle in September as they try to get that new offensive line blocking scheme down. They try to get Matt Patricia on the same page, play calling and working in sync with Mac Jones. But I do think they'll figure it out. Matt Patricia is literally a rocket scientist and will figure this out. And I can see the team winning 10 games or losing 10 games. So we'll see how that goes. And I think that's the team in the East that's one of those teams will make the playoffs. I will say the Patriots. But one of those teams will make the playoffs. The Jets will be better, maybe not right away because Zach Wilson's going to be out for a month, which is the right move for the Jets. There's no reason for them to throw him out there and put him in harm's way when they're not ready to contend. I do think they'll be better this year, but I like the Ravens today +5.5 as Joe Flacco plays quarterback for the Jets. I like the team formerly known as the Redskins over the Jaguars. Easy pick today for me, 3.5, laying 3.5 at home. Easy pick for me, my lock of the day. Carolina beats the Browns and beats them handily. Baker Mayfield gets some revenge. The Browns just don't have enough weapons around. They have a great running game, agreed, but I don't think they have enough to keep themselves in the playoff race until that loser Deshaun Watson gets back after week 11. The Colts I like over the Texans, 8.5. A lot of points on the road. Matt Ryan in his debut with the Colts, I kind of feel they're going to have an easy time of it. I like Mills with Houston, but I just don't see a lot else there. This one could bite me in the ass. I'm not sure who I'm taking in the survivor pool yet today either, buddy guys. This is a tough week for the survivor pools. The Giants, I'm going to take to lose today. Actually, yes, I do take them to lose. I've got the Titans winning this game, but I think the Giants will keep it reasonably close. But I think at the end, Henry will carry this team to victory. The Giants will get better as the season goes on. I like the Vikings at home, plus 2.5 against the Packers. Again, I don't like Aaron Rodgers' attitude, the way he demeans his wide receivers in public. And even though those guys are not that good, I think he's going to have a tough year. And I think the Packers are ready to be dethroned by the Vikings and the running of Dalvin Cook. Kirk Cousins, just manage the game. Don't make mistakes. I'm going to take the Cardinals at home. I like the Chiefs a lot this season, and this could be a close game. This could be a 1 or 2 point victory. In fact, I'm switching up here. Now I'm taking the Cardinals at home to win this game. They get off to a good start like they did last year. I'll take the Chargers minus 3.5 over the Raiders. Oops. Josh McDaniels' debut does not go well. Not a big fan of Derek Carr in big moments. I think this game could come down to a drive at the end of the game, but I do think the Chargers will win this game by a touchdown and maybe a big interception somewhere by Derek Carr. I like the Cowboys plus 2.5 at home against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, for them to be a favorite here on the road. I understand there's some issues with the Cowboys passing game, but they do get Gallup back, so they've got Lamb and Gallup for Dak to throw the ball to. I just do not like decent teams at home getting points, and I think Tampa Bay is going to struggle this year, as I said. And Monday night, while I'm not terribly high in the Broncos and Russell Wilson this year, I do think he'll easily win his homecoming in Seattle. It'll be a very emotional moment for him, I'm sure, but I think they'll win this game by a couple of touchdowns. As I don't think the Seahawks are going to win 3 games this year. That would be my input on those games. So let's get to some of your comments before I move on here. Oops, how did I get to that one? Augustin, hi, how are you today? Good to have you out there on the West Coast. Glad your Oregon team bounced back. 2 birds, 1 good stone. Play, Keith. Pick and play. 2 birds, 1 good stone. Is that you? I don't know what that means. All is well. Coaching your son's tackle football team. Bring back lots of memories. Absolutely, Rado. Stop up to the recovery room some Sunday, buddy, and I'll buy you a beer. Be good to see you. Justin Fields, what'd I say? What did I say? It's amazing that I got to ask what I said, right? I mean, oh, my God. Too many names in sports. Oh, gosh. Shanahan's system has been a plague for the NFL. It's only gotten them to a Super Bowl, NFC Championship game. Oh, boy. Now, listen, the Patriots are trying to employ that same system, and the best coach in the NFL, in NFL history, by the way, a 433 game discrepancy between games coached in that Miami Patriot matchup, which is an NFL record. Billy, are you having martinis with Johnny and Cal? I think we'll talk to Mark. I think Mark's doing the Angel game today, so I think that's one of the reasons he will not be on video today. He's probably calling in. What do you got, Drew? Drew, yes, their running game is still suspect. I don't disagree, but I think I do think the demise of the Kansas City Chiefs has been greatly exaggerated, to steal and paraphrase Mr. Mark Twain a little bit. This is still the team. This team will make it to the AFC Championship game, and only the improved Bills will stand in their way. I thought Gallup was back. Alan, did you give me bad information? I'm going to blame this pick on Alan. Lock is Kansas City over Arizona. My lock is going to be Carolina today. And my don't be surprised if will be, I got to come up with a different, I guess it's going to be Arizona beating the Chiefs. Upsets the Jaguars over the Commanders. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a hot take. And Drew agrees with Allen on the Jags. That's a good hot take for you guys. All the Carson Wentz haters are coming out now. Best coach in the division is Ron Rivera, even though he's probably on a little hot seat. There is some distractions in the organization, which I always think is a big deal. But I think this is a very underrated team, the team formerly known as the Redskins. They've got some really good talent in the backfield. I think Gibson's underrated. I like some of the receivers. The rookie receiver comes through Dotson to go along with McLaren, if I'm saying the name right without looking at it. I like the tight end is a sleeper in my mind. I think there's some good weapons around Carson Wentz. And don't forget, I know he had some issues and some potential issues in the locker room last year. But this guy was 27-7 touchdowns to interceptions. Kept them in games until the end when he imploded a bit. I get that. I'm not telling you the Redskins, team formerly known as the Redskins, are going to win the Super Bowl. I'm telling you they're going to win a very, very mediocre division in the NFL. That's it. I can see two teams 9-8 and two teams 8-9 in that division. Cowboys defense and special teams will be the key tonight. I think Tampa Bay is just not going to be ready to play football tonight. I don't know that. Keith, I am going with Kyler Murray. Again, I know I've had some bad things to say about Kyler Murray, but I do think, again, as I talked about in the NFL preview show, that Kyler Murray will mature a bit this year. I think he'll get some good I think the Cardinals have some good veterans on both sides of the football. The fact that Zach Ertz is the tight end there, and I like his influence maybe on Kyler Murray. And I do like the fact that J.J. Watt's on the other side of the football gives that time. And I think this will be an improved team defensively as well. And I do think they'll run the ball a little bit. John Connor is not a bad running back if they can get that running game going and take a little pressure off Kyler Murray. He's active, but is out tonight. All right. Well, maybe he didn't give me bad information. So I might change my pick there later. There'll be no money bet on that game, I can tell you right now. Let's not give Allen too much credit. He had Pittsburgh in college football. I'm not giving Allen any credit. I'm just saying he told me Gallup was playing. No, he did have Pittsburgh in the top 10. Washington will be okay. Wentz has last tried to stay relevant, agreed, and you don't get between the man and his money. Well, not sure if that's exactly the reason I like them. They also have the best coach in the division, I think, easily. Unless Daboll really steps up, which I think the Giants made a good hire, both in Shine and him. I think the Giants are on the right track. Stats don't matter when you struggle to win games. No, winning games is all that matters. I agree. I think he's on a better team this year than he was last year, to be honest with you. Wentz lost games he needed to win last year, and that's why I let him go. Late in the year, he had some issues. I did not say this team will win a playoff game even. I said they will win a very mediocre division. Maybe the worst division in football, in my mind. No, I can't say that. Not with the NFC North. I'm being a little harsh there. I'm telling you, there's a bunch of mediocre teams that are going to finish between 9 and 8 wins. That's what I think. I could very well be wrong, and I will be transparent when I'm wrong. I think I've shown through the years that I do that. I got to be careful here. I don't know if I have my ringer on. Hang on. All right. Make sure we're ready for Mark Mancini to call in. That's all right. I probably spell his name. I think I might have spelled his name wrong on the NFC preview show. I do feel the same about Tannehill, and they make it to really important playoff games with Tannehill. They're not going to get to a Super Bowl with him. I'm not saying that Carson Wentz is going to the Super Bowl either. Just an FYI. Rick, stop up today. Be a small crowd at the recovery room probably. Septembers are usually quiet. Probably Probably just me and Mark will be there, I'm sure. Maybe a few other Perthites. Comes Mark Mancini in now. If you'll see him, we said that already. And let's bring in one, Mr. Mark Mancini. Good evening, or good morning, excuse me. I don't know where I got evening from. Good to see you, Mark.
Well, it's always a pleasure. I'm kind of feeling my oats a little. My Panthers got beat in the Johnny Majors Classic, but I'm on the second of a three-way parlay because the Bills won. If the Panthers win and the Broncos win, I could really win.
You hit a lot of money on that wager, or just fun money?
Well, I hope my buddy get it, so it'll be a free dinner coming my way.
Well, the free is good in any event. So, I mean, we're finally getting some.
Video. Too bad I'm not on video today. I'm wearing a shirt that says "Defend Your Turf."
Well, I wish we could see that. We got you calling in because I think you got something going on later today, don't you? Is that why you're?
Yeah.
What's
I'll be back next week on video.
what's on your agenda for today?
Oh, got a lot of things to do. I'm part of a thing, and got to get out of here. The sports bar was asking me to see if I can do some remote over there and stuff with some other guys. I said sure. And after the show next week, the video, I'll be back at a different place, New England at Pittsburgh in the home opener. You and I get it on, brother.
Well, we will. That'll be fun. A lot of fun. And hopefully the Patriots will not be 0-2 at that point. But we'll see how we go. So,
A lot of bananas in Miami.
or is that game? That game's not next week, right? That game's in 2 weeks, right? Pittsburgh.
No, that game is next week.
It is next week. All right. So hopefully we're not 0-1 then. Excuse me. It'll be an interesting game, though, because I think these are both there's three teams with the Patriots starting off against Miami and seeing Pittsburgh next week. I think these are three teams that are in transition, and it's going to be very interesting to see. They're all kind of in the same boat, and it's going to be interesting to see which one of these teams can compete for a wild card spot. In my mind, I don't think any of them are competing for the division title.
Well, I don't know about that. Pittsburgh's got one hell of a defense. If they can shore up that offensive line, give protection to Trubinsky and Pickett, and let Harris do his thing, it's going to be interesting. I think Pittsburgh's going to surprise some people. I'm not putting Pittsburgh in the same class that I have the Raiders and Bills in, because I think those two teams have moved their chips all the way to the center of the table. And I don't care if it's one game and people are saying, well, I got to see Buffalo in 10 more weeks or whatever. Buffalo showed me that this is the revenge tour, and they're not stopping until they get to the Super Bowl.
Rick saying your record is not stout on picks. Or maybe he's saying this to me. I wouldn't buy drinks with your projected. Oh, he is saying to you, I wouldn't buy drinks with your projected parlay. Who do you need today?
Yeah, I know. I joined your pick 'em with the thing with the games, the standard picks. So we'll find out. But I like the picks this week. It's going to be interesting. The NFL has a way of doing things. Flacco's going against his former team. Wilson going against his former team.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson, when he comes back, goes against his former team. Pretty interesting the way this thing shakes out.
Yeah, I don't think it's all done by accident either, for sure. I think they certainly get into this. What'd you think of the Bills and Rams performance? I still think this will be the Super Bowl matchup myself. The Rams, I don't take a lot away from week one, but I take more away from the way the Bills played than I do from the way the Rams played. I think the Bills are on a mission.
I'm not sold on the Rams. You know me with the bash with L.A. I love the USC Trojans and Lincoln Riley, but I'm not sold on the Rams. I think they've been exposed. I think they were exposed that now they can, shut that Stafford to Cup thing down. The defense had holes in it. Jalen Ramsey's probably still, cleaning Stephon Diggs' house right at this moment. So, I mean, I think the only thing that's going to save the Rams is it's a bad division. And that's the only thing that will save the Rams, a bad division, and the NFC's got a lot of problems. So anybody can come out of the NFC. If you took the Rams and Green Bay and Dallas and dropped them in the AFC, they wouldn't even see the 500 Mendoza line.
Entirely possible. I mean, I think just looking at these divisions quickly, I mean, I think the NFC East is full of teams that are mediocre teams that could finish anywhere from first to fourth in that division in any order you want to put them. I do have the Redskins winning it. And I don't think, I mean, I have the Rams coming out of the NFC to the Super Bowl because I can't find another viable option. I think Tampa Bay finishes out of the playoffs this year with the distractions going on there.
Oh, I think Tampa. You got to look at Tampa like Buffalo, and you got to look at them like Las Vegas, because I think Tampa has a lot to prove. They've circled the wagons. Giselle and Tom have had some little rocky problems the last few weeks. I think they bring in Julio Jones. I think Tampa's all in. I think the Rams are going to be the team that slips here.
You didn't name one guy that's going to make any difference in that offense for Julio Jones can't stay on the field. I mean,
I think Fournette couldn't stay on the field till he got to Tampa either. So I think when you look at it, I think, everybody stands here and praises Sean McVay and everything, but I think Sean McVay has been, kind of snuck up on some guys here. And what you tell me how far the Rams can go with Stafford. I've never been a big Stafford guy. I think they're hiding his injury.
They can win a Super Bowl. I watched it last year.
Well, I mean, yeah, but they kind of snuck up on the pack. Tampa should have won that game to knock them out, but shoulda, woulda, coulda doesn't count.
No.
The Rams got a nice little running attack. They lose Sony Mitchell now. They lose Von Miller, a rejuvenated Von Miller to say the least. Aaron Donald doesn't know whether he wants to quit, give up, whatever. So that's kind of a concern. Jalen Ramsey's exposed. So the dude they picked up from the Bears didn't do nothing. So I think the only thing that, like I said before, is the only thing that's going to save the Rams is the division. And the division is garbage. I mean, Arizona and San Francisco are trying to figure out who wants second. Seattle's going to be in it for a long year. But the team, like I say, and the bias point of me is watch out for the Redskins. If they can get to bring that defense to what it was 2 years ago, they can do something. And if they don't do anything, they got to do like the Dodgers do out here, get rid of the Andrew Friedman and then get rid of Ron Rivera. These guys aren't doing nothing.
I can't say you're wrong necessarily. I mean, I think Seattle in that division is going to be lucky to win 3 games. I do like Arizona to mature a bit. I think Kyler Murray will mature a bit with some veteran influence in that locker room, like Zach Ertz and AJ Green, and even JJ Watt on the defensive side of the ball. I think they're going to be better than people think. But again, we've picked apart the Rams with all the negatives, but there are negatives all over the NFC. And that's my point of why I can't pick against the Rams until somebody shows me they can step up. The Buccaneers would.
I don't know. The Redskins play small ball, and they ground it out. They got the running a game going. They got Carson Wentz. They kind of play that ball like Indianapolis plays. That wins games. It's ball control. I think that's an advantage there. I know they don't have Chase Young for 4 games. The Cowboys are just, they're a hype train. They're not going nowhere. Philly could be interesting. Green Bay's another hype train. I'm not sold on, Aaron Rodgers. There's no Devontae Adams there. I think Minnesota wins that division. Tampa's going to blow out their division. So, when you look at the AFC, this is where the wars, this is going to be interesting here. There's going to be some team that's going to win 10, 11 games is going to sit home in the AFC compared to somebody coming into the playoffs in the AFC that's won 8 games.
I think so going to the AFC, I think the AFC comes down to Buffalo and Kansas City in the championship game again. I think that West will beat each other up, some of them. I think the Raiders will be a bit overrated. I think the Broncos are overrated. I think Russell Wilson's not in a whole lot different situation than he was in Seattle, having to carry too much of the load there.
Well, I think Kansas City, I told you that last year, that we wouldn't see Kansas City for 5 years to the Super Bowl. They're not going nowhere. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they get knocked out and not even get in the playoffs because too many teams. The Raiders are all in. Broncos are coming. You've got the defending AFC champions and the Bengals. The Steelers got a defense. Tennessee lost their pass rusher, but they're still good.
Yeah.
Indianapolis is going to be tough with Matt Ryan. Look at Buffalo. There's a lot of teams. New England, the Jets are on the rise. I don't know. Kansas City with Tyreek Hill gone. I be replaced by Juju Schuster. I don't know.
Well, Juju Schuster and Sky Moore, who I think will be a very interesting addition as a rookie this year. And it's really Kelsey that keeps that offense going in my mind. He's a guy who set up all the opportunities for Tyreek Hill. I think Kansas City will be just as good, if not better, because they made improvements on defense that people keep forgetting and going under the radar on. So I think Kansas City is still in some pretty good shape in the AFC West. But
they got their first five games or something else. I mean, they'll get Arizona today. They get a short week with the Chargers. They got Tampa on that schedule. They got some teams, so it's going to be interesting. I don't think we're gonna see this team do some damage right out of the gate, and if they stumble, you could fall right behind the eight ball, kind of like college football.
Well, before we go on to our next topic and move off the NFL a little bit, why don't you give me your lock and your don't be surprised if today.
Well, I'll tell you, don't be surprised if Pittsburgh goes into Cincinnati and beats Cincinnati. I think they can keep this game close with the defense, kind of harass Burrow there. I like that. I think my lock, I think the Skins are going to kill Jacksonville.
That's a good one. I like that one as well. But my lock will be Carolina getting points at home, but somehow against the Cleveland Browns, led by Jacoby Brissett, who I like. But I think Baker Mayfield has got a lot to prove here, that he's a player he was 2 years ago and not last year. That Cleveland treated him pretty shabbily. I've never been a big fan of Baker Mayfield, but he's got a lot to prove. The team and coach have a lot to prove in Carolina, and I think they're my lock today. And don't be surprised if the Green Bay Packers go in as favorites into Minnesota and get sent home with a big loss in this game. I like the Vikings at home to beat the Packers today. So
I like the Vikings to win the division.
I do as well. We have a few places we agree on here in football, and a couple we have big discrepancies on, because I really think, and I'll say it one more time, Tampa Bay is going to struggle this year, and I think they're going to have all they can do to stay relevant in the wild card race. It'll be a close division race in the South, but I like Carolina to surprise people and sneak in there.
Well, November 6th, the Rams are in Tampa, so by that time I think Tampa will have a much better record than the Rams will.
We'll see what happens. It's funny. I've spent 22 years now defending Tom Brady, and I'm all over him for the way he's acted. He should have stayed retired if he was going to be torn this much between his personal life and the team. And I think it becomes a big deal if it's not already in Tampa. So we'll see how that goes. Let's move on. You wanted to talk a little bit about baseball. I know you want to talk up your Padres in that 19.5 game gap they have against the Dodgers.
Well, here's the thing, and you and I know this. We've been around the block. People look at wins and losses, and they tell me, this is happening here, and the Padres are blown out, and this team's blown out. But maybe these guys are just laying low. Maybe, they're setting themselves up. Maybe everybody's saying, well, here's the thing, Keith.
No.
You don't bring these records in October, and let's face the music here. The Dodgers are a team that hasn't won a World Series in a full season since 1988. We're looking at almost 4 decades. They've been beat in their backyard by 3 different teams, Boston, Houston, and Washington. They won an asterisk season in Texas, but every year they bring in.
Did I miss all the World Series the Padres won in that period of time? By the way,
well, no. I'm not defending the Padres, but here's the thing: every year they bring in a marquee guy, and this is the guy that's going to take them to the promised land. Somewhere along the line, Keith, you got to look at the Andrew Friedman, and you got to say, you know what? Bye. It's not working here. He is inheriting uncles and aunts and grandmothers and grandfathers' money for a lot of years. And finally, you got to pull the plug and say, son, we're not giving you any money. You're just wasting it. And that's what's happening in Los Angeles. And if they get beat in the second round, which Atlanta or San Diego will probably take them out, what is the excuse going to be in Los Angeles? Well, we won 110 games. That might fly in some cities. It doesn't fly in the second biggest city.
I don't disagree with any of that, but I can't. There is no evidence you can give me that would show me that the Padres would have any chance to beat the Dodgers in a short series, ever.
Well, regardless if it's the Padres, the Braves, the Mets, whatever, I'm saying the Dodgers are going home in the second round. If they do go home in the second round, and my words become a prophecy here, then what is going to be the excuse in Los Angeles? They're already complaining in New York when the Yankees last won a World Series and when.
Well, that's a different conversation than you had wanted to kind of, pump up the Padres. So I'm not pumping up the Padres. If you want to knock down the Dodgers, then I'll say the Braves, I think, will have a very good chance of repeating the way they're playing baseball right now, because it doesn't matter. What you've done in regular season may not matter in October, but momentum does. And if you're playing good baseball, that matters. And even
if the Padres get beat, okay, let's hypothetically say they get beat. They don't have the same excuse the Dodgers had for 4 decades. Oh, we'll bring in Betts, we'll bring in Friedman, we'll bring in this guy, and nothing's worked. The Dodgers keep talking. The Padres have just really retooled. They brought in Soto, they brought in Drury, they brought in Bell. They only brought him in a month and a half ago or whatever. So it's a quite different story when you compare San Diego with Los Angeles. Los Angeles, this has been, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and hoping for different results. You haven't won a title, and they know they haven't won a title in 4 decades. So the thing is, what are you going to do? The point has to go to somebody. You got Dave Roberts sitting on his platform over there guaranteeing a World Series. He's not the problem. It would have to be Andrew Friedman. You'd have to get rid of him and bring in Dave Dombrowski.
Again, Drew Ehrlich has put up a comment about Friedman doing such a terrible job that they've got the best record in baseball. And they have won a World Series, and I know it was in a short – and they've been to World Series. Besides that one, you can't say he's done a horrible job. When I can point out Brian Cashman's a guy who ought to get fired before him. And these guys that
Marv Levy did a good job too.
Yeah,
Marv Levy did a good job with the Buffalo Bills, but they didn't win a Super Bowl.
Well, they got to 4 straight, which has never happened, I don't believe, for
right.
him.
Right, but Andrew Friedman, they've had 8 division titles till the Giants won it last year. They've been to 3 National League championships, World Series 2 or whatever it was. But what have you done? What have you done in the full season? And that's the question everybody needs to get answers to. And that's the thing. He didn't win in Tampa. He couldn't win in Tampa, and the excuse was, well, we didn't have the money. You can't keep with New York and Boston. He gets to a World Series. He doesn't do anything against the Phillies, so he hightails it to L.A. I will tell you this, and I'm not being biased on this. If Theo Epstein was running the Dodgers, they would have had 2-3 titles by now.
I don't think they played a game, so I don't know if I can really say that or not. They got a team. Look at they find ways to win. They're well managed. They've got 5 guys in the lineup the other night. I saw hitting under 200. 4 guys and
okay. So they're gonna have to play. They're gonna have to face 1s and 2s in the playoffs, and they got a patchwork pitching staff. No Bueller. Gonsolin's got a tired arm. May, you don't know what you're gonna get. Kershaw, you don't know what you get. The only consistent guy they have is Urias. Those rookies now are gonna be in. Well, Gonsolin's got a bum arm.
Today, we don't know he can't pitch. I mean, the only team that I can give the edge over the Braves right this second, as well as the Mets have played, is the Braves. And the Braves are playing great baseball, and they're the defending champions, and you are until you lose. And that's the only team I will give the edge over the Dodgers. Otherwise, they're the prohibitive favorite.
Well, if you get somebody to shut them 3 guys down at the top of the order, I think the Dodgers got problems. I mean, that's what you got to do. You got to shut the 3 top guys. Maybe Will Smith will beat you every now and then. There's nobody else in that lineup that scares me. Muncy can't hit his weight, and along with Bellinger, those rookie middle relievers, that ball is going to feel like a bowling ball when they start getting into the playoffs, and they don't even know how to use Kimbrel.
Don't forget they got Joey Gallo to throw out there, though.
Oh yeah, Joey Gallo, who found the fountain of youth out here for some reason. Maybe they offered him a Hollywood flick.
Just let him grow a beard. Dodgers are doing well.
Good luck beating the Astros, who have about 6 starters too. The Astros are dangerous.
Now, to Drew's point, so what I said, I did ask him what the Padres have done in any season or this season, Drew. So I agree, and he also said, I don't think Mark claims not to be biased, because Drew's saying you're not biased. I don't think you make any any disclaimers that you are being unbiased about the city of?
Well, XM said the other day when they said, Mark, you might have to take that moniker off. I'm the world's worst handicapper. They said, we know Mark longer than you, sir. He'll have that moniker.
Agreed. Too many martinis. Yeah.
Hey, I was out there covering the Astros last week, man. I'm trying to I get out of the press box to go get sit with my buddy in the stands, and I'm scrambling for a foul ball, and this 12-year-old beat me, and I said, darn it, man.
Rick Sherlock found you at a bar somewhere, a picture of you at a bar with some guy.
Yeah, I'm out there talking to people and mingling. I'm trying to spread the word. I feel like Frank Sinatra.
Real quick, because we only got a couple minutes left here this morning, Mark. Give me your take on the Johnny Majors Bowl yesterday. Disappointing. I think disappointing on a lot of levels for the Pitt Panthers.
Yeah, they came up short. You can't do that. Top teams dropped out of that top 25. But I will tell you this, and people are going, whoa, wait a minute, Mark, don't get on that wagon. I love Lincoln Riley. And you watch Lincoln Riley's building something at USC. The most portal transfers this year, I think it was 19. They just took it. They got speed. They know how to execute. Keep your eyes on Lincoln Riley. I told you in the beginning of the year they'd be a top 4 team in college football. We'll talk about it Wednesday. Next week.
We will talk about that. I want to see them beat one good team before I really anoint them the national championship trophy, though. That's all.
They got speed, man. Them wide receivers, man. It's the greatest show on turf, it looks like.
We'll see. Again, against very bad competition so far. I'm not saying they won't be better, but we'll talk about that more on Wednesday. Give us your last words here, Mark. Not your last words, hopefully. Sorry, I should have phrased that a little differently.
Well, I'll tell you, man, XM, Sirius, 203-217. I know you're on the show a week from Thursday in Philly.
Yeah.
This week I got Keith Dorney from the Detroit Lions, former Lion on there, former Penn State guy. And we got Andre Adams Miller. So we've got some great guests this week.
Good stuff. Well, Mark, we'll talk to you on Wednesday night. Thanks for popping in. Good luck today in your endeavors, and enjoy the NFL Sunday as best you can.
I love you, brother. Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
The always entertaining Mark Mancini. Again, wins and losses don't matter. I'm sorry. I have to agree with you. I know again, when Mark's not here, it's a little tougher to get to the comments. So, because he can't see him and I got to interrupt him to read them. But I was looking at all of them, guys. Again, I can't find another team besides the Rams to pick in the NFC. I don't agree with him on his Tampa Bay take, obviously. I don't agree on his baseball take because, again, it's basically all – and, again, to your point, Drew, he definitely is biased, and he knows he's biased. He'll look for any way to bash those teams. And I can't say the Dodgers have some holes. I agree. Every team in baseball has some holes. The Braves, I do think, will beat the Dodgers right now. I will tell you the Braves have got a great chance to repeat this year. So we talk about a little some of that stuff. So all good stuff. I didn't put up, and I'm going to try to do it right now real quick before I let you guys go. I want to put the link back up for any of you guys who maybe have not had a chance to do it. There, I finally was able to copy this link correctly. I know Drew put it up or somebody put it up. I'll put it up one more time. I don't know why it doesn't make it a hyperlink. Oh, I know how to do it. Can you click on that now, guys, in the comments? I think you can. If you can't, let me try one more time here. I want to try some because usually if you do this, that's not working. We'll see if that made a hyperlink. Anyway, we got in there about 20 times now. Try to get in there. Guys, try to change your team name so when I go through the standings next week, I can tell who you are. We got a minute left, guys. Great show today. Great participation by you guys as well all the time. We're looking forward to an exciting NFL day today. Go Patriots. Could be ugly. I don't know yet. And hope all your teams do well as well. I'll give you my cigar box results next week. They're not so good so far in college. We'll see if we can pick it up a little with the NFL today. You guys have a great Sunday. We will see you on the flip side. Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talks Sunday. Stream of Caution says have a great, great day. Thanks to all of you guys.